Hi, are you stressed about reading in English? Well, don't be, because in this video, I'm going to tell you 5 strategies that you can use to boost your English reading skills almost overnight. So, what are they? Let's jump into the video and not waste too much time. By the way, guys, I recently went to the library in Manchester, and it's a very beautiful library. So the video is playing right here behind me. If you like the video, I highly recommend coming to see this library. It is a very beautiful library, and there are so many beautiful books inside of it. So, now, what is the first thing that you can do to reduce your stress when reading in English? It's quite simple, actually, and a lot of people tend to overlook it. The first thing that you can do is find your reading level. Now, a lot of people think, this is very difficult, but it's actually quite simple to find your reading level. First, I want you to know that in order for you to read easily in a language, you need to understand at least 95% of all of the words that you're seeing on the page. Now, it might sound like this is difficult to find, but it's very simple using this simple equation right here on the side. What you need to do is you need to count all the words that you see on the page, and then you need to count all of the words that you don't know. Then you're going to take the total number of words that are on the page, and you're going to divide them by the number of words that you don't know. So let's take an example. For example, if you read a page that has 300 words on it, and there are 10 words that you don't understand, what you're going to do is divide 300 by 10. You can look at this example right here. It comes out to be a percentage, and this percentage is the number of words that you don't know. Now, don't get too stressed, because 300 divided by 10 is very, very small, and it only comes out to about 3%. So that is a very small number of words you don't know. So let's focus on the positive. The positive is that you know 97% of the words that are on this page. So read away, and I hope that this will help you to understand how you can read and not be stressed. But this is not the only method that we can use. The next method we can do is think about the books we're reading. We need to choose why we are reading books in our language, in this case, English. Well, usually people read for 2 reasons. Think about it in your first language. Why do you read? Well, you probably read either A, to develop your reading skills so that you can learn new things and new words and new strategies. In English, we call this intensive reading. But sometimes we read just for fun, and this is called simple reading or reading for pleasure. Now, I'm going to explain a little bit later in the video what exactly these are, so stick around so you understand the difference between intensive reading and reading for pleasure. Now, when we're talking about this, I currently am reading a book in Spanish, and I want to share it with you guys. My Spanish level is pretty good, but I know that I can continue to improve it. So right now, I'm learning a lot about the art of persuasion. So I'm actually reading that book in Spanish. This is not pleasure reading for me, rather it's intensive reading. But I'll give you a clue. How can we make intensive reading more interesting? Well, take something you want to read and overlap it with something that's intensive reading. Take a little bit of time each day and go through this book, and by the time you're finished with this book, not only will you have learned something new, but you will also be able to express yourself a lot better in the language that you are learning. Now, another thing that you need to do is when you are reading for fun, so let's talk about reading for fun. When we are reading for fun, what we need to do is try to understand all of the words that we don't understand from context. That means try not to use a dictionary and try not to use the internet to look for these words. Why? Because you understand 97% of the words on this page already. So if you understand that many words, you should be able to understand the words that you don't know from context if you look at the whole sentence. So you really want to push yourself not to use these words that are not understood understood. You want to push yourself to try to understand them rather than immediately look them up. And I know it can be very stressful, but what you can do is wait until you get to the end of the page and then go back. And if you still don't understand the words, then grab an iPad or the tablet of your choice, or go online to look up this word. Now, I like to read on an iPad because I can just tap on the word, highlight it, and then search for it online. So I think that's a great way to read. But if you prefer a physical book, go ahead and write a list of the words you don't know. And if you still cannot understand them from context, go back through at the end and use a dictionary or look on the internet to try to understand what they mean. However, I'm telling you, if you can understand 97% of the word and you use the equation I gave you, you should be able to read very easily and for pleasure in English with almost no problems. Now, here are 6 strategies that you can do to develop reading. So let's talk about intensive reading. You really need to focus on strategies for intensive reading in English if you want to improve your level quickly. Now, we can do this a bunch of different ways. The first thing you can do is you can create a mind map. So that means thinking about everything that you already know and writing it down. I love to use mind maps because I think they help us in many different ways. So make a mind map, and once you write down everything you know, try to predict what you think the story is going to be about or the text is going to be about. Now, how do we do this? Well, you can make a list of questions that might appear as you're reading, or think about the story or the text and say, hey, what might pop up as I'm reading along? These are some pre-reading strategies you can do before you even start reading to help yourself build a context. Now, as you're reading, there are a couple things that you can do as well. The first is that when you finish a paragraph or a page, try to write down the main points of that page or that paragraph. I know this sounds a little silly, but it's a very good way to get the main idea. And this actually ties into some listening strategies that I already made a video about. And I'll put that right here for you guys. But what you can do is, as you're going through, just make a note of them. And this is going to help you really after you finished reading the book, because you can later go on and you can ask a native speaker, hey, this is what I thought this meant. Is that really what's going on here, or did I get something wrong? And if I got something wrong, you can ask them to help you and solve the issue. Okay, guys? So write down the main points of the paragraphs or pages you read. The next thing is, don't be afraid to circle and make notes. So if you really don't understand something and you can't understand it from context, because again, this is intensive reading. This is reading to develop a skill. It's not reading for pleasure. What you can do is you can go back and you can ask someone for help. That's a very big point with reading and learning a language in general. You need to ask somebody who understands the language natively if you're having some issues understanding, or ask someone who has already reached a high level of proficiency in English to help you out with that. Now, another important thing you can do is write down your feelings, because a lot of times what we do in our native language is we read a book and then we respond to it with feelings. Sometimes people write full documents that are responses to literature, and this is something you should be doing in your second language as well, in this case English. Otherwise, you're not going to start to develop the skills that native speakers develop. Now, as you're going through, try to really focus on those context clues that you learn in your first language, because you can take those skills that you have and move them over into English. So try to use them. Look up the whole sentence, go through it word by word, and see if you can understand what that one specific word is. And if you can't, can you understand the entire summary of the paragraph? Because if you can understand the entire paragraph, that word is likely not as important as you think it is, even though you cannot understand it. Now, after you finished reading, no matter what the case is, you should always try to talk to somebody about this book. Ask them if they've read it, and if they've read it, you want to chat their ear off and ask them as much about this book as you possibly can. Now, don't get stressed out, because reading in a second language is very difficult, and English has 3 times, on average, 3 times the number of words as most other languages. So we depend a lot on context. So if reading in English is very difficult for you, don't get stressed out. Take a break when you feel overwhelmed. That is my next tip. Take a break when you feel overwhelmed, because if you feel overwhelmed, you're going to stress yourself out and you're going to start to think, oh, I can't do this. But you got it. You can do it. Just use these strategies that are in the video. All right, guys. So I've given you 5 tips that you can use to boost your English skills almost overnight. So how are you going to use them? Let me know in the comments. I'm excited to know which one is your favorite and which one helps you out the most. For me, the most important is the pre-reading. What do I think I'm going to see? Making these questions and then responding to them once I have read the text, because I can go back and I can say, hey, my brain is moving in the right direction, or hey, this is not what I expected at all. Either way, at the end of the text, I know that I understood something that I didn't before I began reading. So if you're really stressed out about English, try to use these tips. Now, guys, if you like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I want to remind everyone that we are having a raffle, and on March 4th, I'm going to be choosing someone and giving them $700 worth of my English courses. That is a lot of money, and that's a lot of courses. So, during these courses, what you'll be able to do is move from beginner to intermediate, or from intermediate to advanced. And I'm going to let you choose the course that you want. Check out my website. I have many different courses, and I'm going to give the winner of my raffle one of them for free. All right, guys, so how do you enter the raffle? You enter the raffle simply by signing up to my newsletter or by subscribing to my channel. If you do both, I'll enter you in twice. So, what do you guys think about my reading strategies? Do you think they're a go or a no? Let me know below. And until next time, I'm Sean from Lou English. See you soon. Bye, guys.